So we earlier did a live stream to celebrate Kathi Pecor coming to the workshop, and we were running this what would you call it? I guess you'd call it a replica. We were running this replica made in India through the paces, and I decided I was going to hit this thing with 6 layers of denim, and I knew that there wasn't enough clearance underneath the presser foot, and I ended up creating a problem for this machine. Obviously, machines like this that are made in our era are not made with the same materials. They don't have the same tolerances. Um, and yet I still am going to run them through the sewing Olympics. I still am going to beat them hard to make sure that they're up to the task. And apparently I pushed this one a little bit too far. What I found once that live stream, the first one ended, is I found a flaw in the needle bar assembly that comes off of the main shaft that caused it to basically get knocked out of alignment. And it took several steps, some disassembly. And I realized that, you know, the problem is resolved now. We're back on track. But I realize now that I can't, I've got to, if I have a replica on the workbench, I'm going to have to adjust my sewing Olympics just a little bit and not push them quite as hard as an original vintage sewing machine. The casting, the manufacturing quality is not able to take my regular sewing Olympics. So now I'm going to modify my sewing Olympics, go back to that denim that stopped this replica dead in its tracks, and run through those 4 layers, and then try to finish off the sewing stack that we were going to do in the first edition of this Kathi Pecor saga. We're going to make this into a mini series now. And I just have to take into account that replicas are not original machines. But I was trying to push this one as hard as I could, like I always do. And the result was we ended that live stream halfway through the sew-offs with a machine that wasn't sewing anymore. I'm happy to report it's sewing again. But I've got to modify my standards a little bit. Our Olympics are going to look different than they do with regular vintage machines when we're working with a replica. So, who knew? I knew better, but I still was going to push that machine hard. I was just going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway. So back to part 2 of the Kathi Pecor saga. And she had to leave. She's with family right now. She had to leave before I could resolve the issues with her machine. So she still doesn't know that this machine is back on track again. She thought that maybe because we had pushed it so hard that maybe I had broken something and there was a fatal fault. But you know what? We're not going to accept anything as broken in the workshop. We're going to find a way to get it back on track and to resolve it. So let's see if we can finish the denim sew-off that stopped this machine dead in its tracks before, and hopefully we can have success. But you know, the workshop magic is miraculous, but the reality is I can't undo the manufacturing materials that they chose to use on this machine in India. I can't change the quality of engineering compared to a vintage, a genuine vintage machine. And that's not to take anything away from this machine, because it still has greatness. But we've got to lower the threshold just a little bit. So I'm going to do that now. Yeah, I am. All right. So back to what stopped this machine dead in its tracks before. Back to this denim, and this is not magical denim that just tried to kill this machine. I just pushed it a little bit too hard. So I'm going to fold it in half, get us to 4 layers of denim. Still not a super easy sew off. And we'll see if we can get through it this time without anything going awry, hopefully. All right, let's see. I'm going to give it a little bit of a start as far as that thread getting pulled. But I've got to lower my standards a little bit on the sewing Olympics for the sake of this replica machine. Sounds like my hook's getting a little bit dry too, maybe on this machine. Like I said, because of the different materials they use, even the oiling of this machine is going to have to be a little bit more frequent than on a vintage machine. Part of it is the coating that they use. But there goes that Denim that was trying to beat us up. And stop us in our tracks, and that's not going to happen on this channel. We might run into an obstacle, but we're going to find a way around it. All right, take these little clips off. I don't think I need them right now. All right, so 4 layers of denim, which is more in line with what this replica, and it's in part because of the clearance underneath the presser foot again. So I had to show you guys. Here's our top stitch. Absolutely bang on, page 34. Excellent, excellent looking stitch. Once the camera focuses on it. So it goes back to anything. If they build it at a certain quality standard, it's going to run into issues if you push that machine too hard. And that's kind of what we ran into with those 6 layers of denim. 4 layers, it just handled it beautifully. We turn it over. Let's look at the lock stitch. The lock stitch is also absolutely bang on. So we ran into a challenge with pushing the machine a little bit too hard. That was my fault. Not taking into account its more limited capabilities compared to an actual vintage machine. And now the sew-off pile that that Kathi had stacked up is the bubblegum material next. So I'm going to do that next. And we've got some regular cotton. We've got some of this vegetable tan leather. And we've got the, what is this? We've got 100% cotton with a stiffener, saddle grade leather. And then finally, we've got some of this commercial upholstery material. And I'll just have to adjust our regular sew-off Olympic standards to take into account it's a replica machine. So I got some of this bubblegum material now. I'm probably going to fold it in half and just go ahead and stitch it back to back so we can see the stitching a little bit more easily. So the needle, when we tried to do the 6 layers of denim, it definitely bent, but it's because of the flaw that was in the needle bar assembly. It allowed that needle to track outside of the boundaries. So let's try this bubblegum material, just see if we can get this going. And no problem at all going through those 2 layers of bubblegum material. Again, bubblegum material is a high vinyl concentration, kind of like some of the other stuff that we've sewn, like that Naugahyde. I'll give you guys a look at this as well. But you know, unlike a vintage machine that I know if I run into a challenge with that machine, I know straight away I can get it back on track. But when you're dealing with a machine that's been made, you know, to different quality standards, it kind of makes you a little bit nervous. But that was, you can see I even had to break the drill out. Okay. Oh, that one's totally broken. That little clip. We've got some clips that are good, some clips that are bad. All right, let's get this one back. These are almost too small for what I'm doing. Okay. So here's a bubblegum material we just stitched off. This is our top stitch. It's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Absolutely page 34. And we hadn't gotten to this before because of that machine running into a major problem when we tried to do 6 layers of heavy grade denim. And I'm seeing on like the third stitch in, I'm seeing a little tilt down, and that could mean that our upper tension is just a little bit too high. So I'm going to do a little bit of an adjustment on that right now. We had adjusted it up quite high the last time. I think he's trying to focus on the singer repairman back there. Let me bring it down lower so it's got a backdrop behind it, so it's not going to try to focus on the wrong thing. All right, let's flip it around and look at the lock stitch. I don't want to belabor this live stream, but I had to circle back just because I kind of left everybody on a cliffhanger when we wrapped up that live stream with Kathi still here. And she and I are going to connect either tomorrow or Sunday. She's going to be in the area for a while, and then I'll get her this machine back now that we've resolved the flaw that this machine had. As soon as you push it to that limit. So here's our lock stitch. All right, let's move on to the next material. Again, I'm not going to belabor this live stream. I just wanted to circle back and make sure that we covered the bases so you guys knew this machine was okay. We just have to adjust our sew-off standards just a little bit to help it out. So here's 100% cotton. I didn't know what my plan was on this, maybe just to do more layers of it or something because I'd cut more than one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold it in the middle, get us up to 4 layers. And then give it a full one more time, get us up to 6 layers. And hopefully 6 isn't like the magic number that creates problems for this machine. I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of clearance underneath the presser foot. So 6 layers of cotton is what we're going to do next. We'll go ahead and get this into place. Presser foot is down. Yeah, I think all the other settings should be good to go at this point. But you know, that's the wonder of live streaming is you can have things all of a sudden that come up that you're not expecting, and you just got to deal with it. So, especially with a replica machine when you don't know exactly what its capabilities are. Okay, so I did my first stitch. Let's go ahead and roll down this. Beautiful stitching. Yeah, I would love to have visited the factory in India where they made these replicas just to see kind of what their approach was and what QA standards they had. Because I also found a loose cam screw on the back of the machine too when I went through this one initially. So they obviously had a little bit of an opportunity to miss the mark. All right, let me go ahead and get this lined up again. Let me check here. That's our top stitch. That's our lock stitch. Okay. So this is our 6 layers. I was almost fearful that 6 was like a destruction number for this Indian made machine, machine made in India. But we just did 6 layers of 100% cotton. And again, the machine is back on track now. And I could try to explain to you what the flaw was, but it's just not built the same as the original Singers. And something gave out on it when we tried to push it too far. Beautiful, beautiful page 34 stitching, 6 layers of 100% cotton. Try to get it turned around and we'll look at that lock stitch. I backed off that upper tension. I hope I didn't back it off too far and take away from our lock stitch. We'll have to take a look, but if we did, we'll just make an adjustment on the next sew offs. Some really good looking stitching. Really, really good looking stitching. Again, we're only talking about cotton, but I'm trying to adjust my mindset on how hard to push this machine made in India that's a replica class 15. I was hitting it with our regular sewing Olympics, and that was probably the wrong decision. So beautiful stitching. Just say hello. Boy, you are the faithful ones here. We did that long live stream earlier with Kathi Pecor in the workshop, and then the machine just had a major glitch. It had a major glitch where it was hitting the needle plate. The entire needle bar was actually out of alignment, not only in front to back alignment, but also in vertical alignment as well. So it was just totally screwed up. Totally screwed up. So I'll say hello to Emma and Paula, and we've got a Chad. I don't know that I've met Chad before, but maybe the other leaders have met Chad, but Chad looks like a new name to me. And Chad looks like he's a bargain buyer. He got a good deal on a machine similar to this. I'm assuming some sort of a class 15. But again, remember, within the class 15 family, there's about 30 different models that Singer made starting in the 1800s moving forward. So class 15 is a little bit ambiguous when it comes to what the possibilities are for that. I'm going to bump up our upper tension just slightly again. All right, so we got this machine back online after a fatal flaw took it out of commission during our initial live stream. Now we've gotten it back by doing our 4 layers of denim. Would love to do 6, but there's not enough clearance, and I think it's going to knock that needle bar out of alignment again if I push it. And our 5 layers of 100% cotton. So 2 more sew out of the way. If you missed the earlier live stream, we did some other fun stuff with this class 15 replica. Actually, we just did this one now. We did this bubblegum material, so I'll throw that to the side as well. And then we did a long strip of this. It's basically a vinyl paper material that I picked up at the dollar store. And we sewed off a real long line of this stuff. I'm almost tempted to do that again since we got this machine back online. And then I put on the 1812 Overture, and we did this protected full grain leather. Protected full grain leather to the 1812 Overture, getting some great results with this replica class 15 machine. And again, if you don't know anything about this, Singer celebrated their 170th anniversary back in 2021, and they decided to roll out a machine, iconic machine, the class 15, that was one of their first machines. We'd done some cotton too without a stiffener on the earlier live stream. Then we did this silly stuff here, this Naugahyde. You can just see the vinyl factor of it by its curliness. And this class 15 did a really good job of managing this Naugahyde as well in the first live stream we did. And then a strip of this genuine elkite. This class 15 did an excellent job with this as well. So some of the other sew-offs that I had planned to do before I killed this machine in the first live stream was some of this veg tan leather. You can even see the they stamped it. They were going to use it on some of those airplane seats. And let's go ahead and buzz down, see if we can buzz down 2 layers of this without me killing this machine again. We'll go ahead and go down 2 layers of veg tan leather. Veg tan leather is a real nice leather. My buddy over in Colorado, I actually interviewed him on this channel, Dusty. He loves veg tan leather, and I think he works with some other leathers as well. But this is a real nice leather to do sew-offs with. Oh, Chad, welcome, Chad from Columbus, Ohio. What a great state Ohio is. And I've got a number of customers and friends out in Ohio as well. Matter of fact, you guys might remember the one gal that opened up the ice cream parlor. She's out in that neck of the woods. I want to say it's Ohio. It's not Pennsylvania. And she ended up driving from out there all the way to the workshop with 5 machines. And I would systematically work through all of those machines and got them back to her. I haven't talked to her in a long time. I hope she's doing well with her ice cream business. Yeah. All right, let's not break this machine again. Let's not break it. So 2 layers of veg tan leather. Thickness is like right about there, if you can see it in the shot. Probably about 5-6 ounces of leather. And this stuff, like Italian leather, tends to be a little bit, it's a little bit slippery, if that makes sense. Leather can be slippery. And so we'll see how it manages it. Again, I've got to adjust my standards for replica machines versus original vintage. So we'll see if it can manage these 2 layers of veg tan leather easily enough, hopefully. All right, here we go. Get that last little stitch in there. Oh yeah, very, very nice. Very nice. I'll show this to you guys as well. And with any leathers, what am I doing here? I got my thread underneath the plate. With any leathers, realize that when leathers are cut from a hide, they're all going to have different density factors. One leather will have a little bit higher density. Another one will have a little bit different thickness, depending on where they cut it from the hide. So that factors in as well when I'm putting machines through the Sewing Olympics. If I've got a thicker hide piece, I might adjust the thickness of that when we go through it. All right, let me grab the sew-off holder again. This again is going to be a veg tan type leather. See what you guys think of this stitching. This is our top stitch that we're looking at first. There we go. Very, very nice stitching. Let's go and flip it over for the lock stitch. Kind of flip it this way. It's been a long day. I'm having trouble keeping the camera steady. I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got to get it a right position to get it stable. And I'm not using a leather needle. If I mentioned kind of the setup when we were talking about this machine and the manual being wrong and everything like that. And I talked a little bit about the setup of it. We're using a standard Coates and Clark thread. You know, it's just a general purpose thread. And then I've got a Schmetz 9014 needle in here. And when the machine had a fatal failure earlier on the live stream, when I hit those 6 layers of denim and knocked the needle bar and everything else out of alignment, I talked about the fact that the needle itself had also been bent, and I very seldom bend a Schmetz needle. All right, we'll stop right about there. So some beautiful stitching. That again is our lock stitch, top stitch. It managed this veg tan leather very, very nicely. So then I've got some of this 100% cotton with a stiffener in it. We'll go ahead and lay down a couple of stitch lines on this, and I'll also change the stitch length so you can see the stitch variation of this machine as well. And then we'll kind of move on to, it looks like we have some saddle grade leather that we hadn't finished before, and some commercial upholstery material. And then we'll wrap up this part 2 of the crash and burn class 15 made in India. And then I'll connect with Kathi Pecor and reveal the news that the machine is not dead. I didn't kill it. I did not kill the machine. I injured it because I was trying to give it a regular sewing Olympics, but I did not kill it. No replica machines made in India were killed in the filming of these live streams. Yeah. All right. 100% cotton. And again, a good tip on these class 15s, because they really suck in a lot of thread when you're launching, is holding on to those tails so that you don't get a bunch of bird nesting at the beginning part of that launch. All right, get that going a little bit. We'll kind of crank this off. Okay, and I'll do another stitch line right next to it straight away. We'll kind of shorten it up incrementally so we can see that stitch length variation. Because I think pretty much on the earlier live stream, we just stayed pretty much at the same stitch length the whole time. And then we manipulated the presser foot pressure to get different outcomes and results. And I can see here on this cotton, I'm going to have to back off that upper tension even a little bit more. Again, if you're brand new to sewing or you don't understand the impact of the upper tension unit working with the bobbin case, this is going to be pulling up to define that lock stitch. The bobbin case down below is going to be pulling down to define that top stitch. So if you have one that's pulling harder than the other, it's going to throw the balance of the stitching out of whack. I kind of see that right now a little bit, where I've got a really nicely defined lock stitch, but the top stitch is a little bit weak. So I just made a quick adjustment. All right, so now I'm going to shorten the stitch a little bit. We're probably down right around, I'm just making sure we're all at the bottom. We're right around on 6 to 7 stitches per inch. I'm going to go ahead and shorten it a little bit more, get us to right around 10. And we'll notice the contrast in that pretty rapidly. All right, so we got our first stitch in. I think we'll be good at this point. Yeah, in that first live stream, it was probably freaking everybody out. We tried to do those 6 layers of denim, and when I tried to, I replaced the needle and didn't realize at that point that there had been a fatal failure on the inside with the needle bar assembly, getting knocked out of alignment horizontally and vertically. And tried to crank it off, and it's hitting the, first of all, it's hitting the presser foot. It's that far out of alignment. Then it's hitting the needle bar. And both Kathi and I are probably thinking, oh my Lord, what did you do, Scott? You broke my machine, man. But it's quality of engineering. And we know that. We know that when we buy a replica machine like this and it's made out of country, that the quality standards are going to be a little bit different, don't we? We just know it. Chad doesn't know what model he restored? Come on, Chad. You spend that much time, that much intimacy with a machine. All right, we're going a little bit shorter now. We're going a little bit shorter. I got to give Chad a little bit of a hard time because he's a fellow restorer. I can tell you if I spend 10, 12 hours with a machine, I'll be able to tell you what model that is. I will. Yes, I will. I went pretty short on this one. I went real short on this puppy. Boy, is that a contrast. That's a fun contrast. All right, I'll stop there. So if we're ever doing a live stream and I kill a machine, just trust that I will, through tenacity and grace, I will resurrect that machine again. Yes, I will. We're still a little bit high on the upper tension for this cotton material. Try stitching that one more time to get that top stitch to pop a little bit more for us. Right now it's pretty good, but it's not as poppy as I'd like to see it. Excuse me. All right, let's sew this off one more time. I'm backing off that upper tension a little bit more because our top stitch is still a little bit, it's good, but it's a little bit weak. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more poppy. Yeah, there we go. That's starting to come into line a little bit better. Yeah, I like that better. All right, I'll stop there. I'll give you guys a glimpse of these stitches. Again, nothing outlandishly crazy. We're going through a fairly thick stiffener that I use mainly with machines that are doing embroidery and decorative stitching. And then we have 100% cotton with it. So all right, let me get that stitch off holder and we'll take a look at these real quick. Try to get the right angle here. There we go. I'm close enough. We can actually look at the totality of stitching and look at all the rows at the same time. And down here, both these two are probably about 20 stitches per inch. And I backed off the upper tension to give them a little bit more poppiness, but I don't think I still went far enough. So if you ever do a stitch off and the lock stitch looks great, it almost looks maybe a little bit compressed. Back off that upper tension, you'll give a little bit more of the victory back to the top stitch, and you'll diminish that lock stitch while you're still having a great lock stitch at the same time. Yeah, beautiful stitching. Let's look at that lock stitch. I think you're going to find right away it's considerably more poppy, and that's just a tension balance. There's our lock stitch. You can see it. Yeah, I'm very satisfied with that. And again, it's a replica machine, so it's going to stitch well, but it may not quite stitch at the level that we would see with a regular vintage machine. Yeah, I'm looking under this with magnification, and part of our definition factor as we're looking at the two sides is this top stitch. As we've gone shorter, we don't have a good balance right now. This is still on the weaker side. It's still on the weaker side. I'm almost tempted to stitch it one more time, make one more adjustment on that upper tension. Upper tension right here. We're going to back it off even a little bit more. There we go. Let's just stitch it one last time and we'll see if we can get that to pop a little bit better than it is right now. All right, here we go again. Just making a little bit adjustment on the presser foot pressure as well. There we go. Yeah, it's not 100% there yet, but it's starting to come more into form. And that's what happens when you go through a wide field of sew-offs during a live stream, and you're going from like leather to bubblegum material to naga hide and just a variety of different things. You're going to find that the stitch definition just varies a little bit. I'm going to do a regular stitch on here as well and just kind of compare it to see how much we're coming back in line with that upper tension being adjusted. Yeah, it's amazing. When you first launch with a class 15, it is very, very thread hungry. Very, very thread hungry. Oh yeah, you can see that in the shot or not. Maybe I had the camera kind of angled the wrong way. So this was our initial stitch line right here on the far right, about 6 stitches per inch. We made some more tension adjustments on this final stitch off, same stitch length, around 6, but look at the two side by side. This one on the far left, it just has a lot better presentation to it. A lot better presentation. And you can't see that as well as if I didn't even cut the threads yet. I'll pull it off. But look at that top row we did last, and then the bottom row here that we did first. Much nicer. And also, as we gave more victory back to that bobbin case for this top stitch to be more defined, it also ensures that the alignment of those stitches are going to be more in line. You're not going to have ends tipping up or tipping down like we did on the first sew off down here. The stitches are going to be straight and true, and that is as much of a factor as tension as far as any other adjustment that can be done to the machine. So always remember that tension plays a big role, as does presser foot pressure, in the final presentation of that stitch. And I didn't even cut the thread yet, so I have to kind of pivot it around. But the same thing on the lock stitch. And again, the balance is not taking it too far, because then you'll start to lose part of the definition on that lock stitch. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Isn't it fun to kill a machine and then to bring it back to life again? Not to mention you kill it on a live stream. That makes it even more dramatic, as people are wondering, did Scott kill that machine forever, or is it just like temporarily killed? All right, let me throw this to the back as well. Let's do a little bit of saddle grade leather now. And I've got to remember, as we change these materials, I might have to make some adjustments as far as tension and presser foot pressure. We'll see. A little bit up on there slightly, and a little bit of an adjustment on presser foot pressure because we're dealing with a heavier leather now. And I won't put on the 1812 Overture again because it's too small of a piece to do that too. All right. So saddle grade leather, if you don't know anything about saddle grade leather, this is used for a number of applications. I've seen people make gun holsters out of it, wallets, um, different things relating to horses. It's just a great all around leather. All right, let's try to stitch down this as well, see what we think. And I promise I will try not to break the machine again, but you never know. One more turn. There we go. Give that a pivot. Try to stitch around the outside a little bit. You go too far? Nope, not too far. Good. One more stitch. There we go. All right, let's take a look at this stitching now. Yeah, overall, I'm very, very happy with that. Some definite page 34 stitching. But again, I'm looking at where I might have gotten the tension a little bit off. It's pretty close. It's pretty doggone close. All right, let's take a look at these. And then we just have one more stitch off I'm going to do that we had planned to do when Kathy was here earlier, before I broke her machine. All right. So some very good looking stitching, very, very nice looking stitching. Um, and I realized that when I was putting a new needle in to get ready for this second live stream, with every machine, when you put a needle into the needle socket, you've got to make sure that you get it aligned from front to back just perfectly, especially when you're having to line it up with a flat side, uh, you know, orientated to the right. So the stitching on this is exactly as it should be. If there's just a slight little consistent tilt, at least to my eyes there is, but I might be getting tired. Um, I might not have gotten that needle absolutely straight in that needle socket, but these are really good looking stitches, truly. Really, really good looking stitches. Yeah, I think it's my eyes. Those stitches actually look really good. I thought I might have put the needle in a little bit crooked in the needle clamp, but those look really good. Yeah, those are good looking stitches. So, you know what? When you recognize the limitations of a machine like this that was made decades, decades after the well, you know what? If you want to be genuine about it, the original Class 15-1 was made back in the 1850s, 60s. So over a century later, they make this machine in India. When you recognize its limitations based on the engineering and the quality standards of how they make a machine now, and you kind of step back those expectations just a little bit, it does an excellent job, even on leather. And I know that Kathy's going to do some leather sewing on this machine too. Yeah, let's turn around and look at that lock stitch. And also some really good stitching here as well. I'm going to get a little bit closer. There we go. I'm very pleased with this. Very pleased with this, especially considering the machine was dead after the first live stream, and now we're laying down some great page 34 stitching on this saddle grade leather. We only have one more stitch off to do, and hopefully I don't kill the machine doing that. But we are going to sew some commercial upholstery material. It's that stuff right over here. It's got a gummy base to it, so I'm going to recognize the limitations of this replica machine. And normally I would do 6 layers of this on a regular vintage. We'll probably step it back to 4 layers. 4 layers on this commercial upholstery material. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so if anybody was doubting me and said, Scott killed that machine, it won't come back again. Yeah, that's my answer to you. That's my answer to you. All right. Paula knows I love her. She writes the funniest comments. All right. So this is commercial upholstery material. You kind of see the gummy back right there. And I'm going to put the lighter side out so we can hopefully see the stitching a little bit more easily. And normally I would fold this like this and then like this for a regular vintage machine. We'd be doing 6 layers of this, but I'm going to learn my lesson. And we're going to fold it in half and get us up to 4 layers of this stuff and see if we can finish up this last sew off to wrap up part 2 of Scott killing Kathi Pecor's 170th anniversary class 15 machine. Yeah. And even, you know what, again, we're able to fit these 4 layers of commercial upholstery material underneath here, but it's a little bit on the snug side. So I'm hoping I'm not overstepping again, and I'm going to knock that needle bar out of alignment again by pushing these parts too hard. I think we're okay. I hope we're okay. Yeah, I'll start real slow, and if it looks like it's going to have trouble, then I'll take it down a step. I'll take it down a step. I hope we can do this. See how it's feeding. I think we're okay. Okay. I think we're going to be okay. What I'm hoping to do is go down, make my turn, go back, and then close the box on this. And this will be our final sew off on Kathy's machine. If I break her machine twice in one day, I don't think she'll be real happy with me. I don't think so. So we're going to give it a try. I'm a glutton for punishment. I really am. All right, let's give it a go. 4 layers of commercial upholstery material. I'm hoping that we can get through this without any parts falling. So we'll see. All right, get that needle down, make our turn. Make our turn again. Just going to look at that stitching real quick to see if I want to make any midstream adjustments. Just a slight one. All right, press your foot back down. Let's do this final stretch. And I guess I want to emphasize, I normally would do 6 on a regular vintage machine, and I've stepped it down to 4. But if you kind of look in the camera, you look in the camera at the line of that material, there's nothing lightweight about 4 layers of commercial upholstery material either. So, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about this replica machine being able to manage this so far. Of course, we have a little stitch line to go. Maybe I'll break it then, but hopefully not. All right, we're going to stop there. We're going to stop there. Yeah, I'm glad I backed off that upper tension a little bit. We've got a good looking lock stitch, but we also have a much nicer defined top stitch as well. Much nicer. So hopefully if someone bought one of these machines and they've been struggling with it, or maybe they tried to push it too far and they broke it, but they didn't know how to fix it, hopefully they'll watch this live stream and they'll be encouraged. They'll be encouraged to give it another chance. You know what I mean? I hope they do. I always say it, all machines deserve the opportunity for greatness. Even replica machines, they deserve the opportunity for greatness. All right, let's take a look at these stitches. This is our top stitch. It's better, but I would adjust that upper tension down even a little bit more to get even a better defined top stitch. I would. There we go. Beautiful stitching on the edge over there, far left. You can see it there coming into view. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Some really, really nice looking stitching. Again, 4 layers of commercial upholstery material sewn with this replica class 15 made in India. Let's turn it over and look at that lock stitch. Again, I think my upper tension might have been a little bit higher than it should have been. So this may look a little bit poppier because that upper tension was pulling up harder than it needed to on these stitches. Yeah, that looks really good. I would tone back that upper tension just a little bit, and then I think we'll have a perfect balance. If we were going to be sewing 4 layers of commercial upholstery material all day long, we'd make that adjustment. But this is a one-off that we're doing just to show that this replica is up to the task. After I broke it earlier. Yeah, we're never going to let that go. Hey, you guys remember when Scott broke that machine during the live stream for the grand prize winner? Yeah, yeah. Everybody will remember that. They'll remember it. So totality of the stitching, very good looking stitching. And again, not a light sew off. You kind of look at it from the edge. That's what 4 layers of commercial upholstery material looks like. So that's it. That's the only sewing that I wanted to finish because I hadn't done it on the first one before I broke Kathy's machine, and I wanted to finish that off. I don't want to leave anything unfinished. So finally, we can look at all the sewing that we did and wrap up this second live stream. I'm trying to grab everything I did here. And they're definitely not in order. They're not in order. They're not. You kind of see, I'll just show you on the other side of the machine. I didn't pick up any of the tools that I had to affect the repair on the machine after I broke it. Oh, my Lord. What a hoot, huh? Yeah. So hopefully what people remember is, hey, you remember when Scott broke that machine? And then he ended the live stream, and then he fixed the machine, and then he ran it through the paces again. Yeah, remember that. Remember that. So, all right. So just a quick summary. We did, let me angle it down a little bit. Yeah, you can see it. I think you can see it. Yeah. So what is this? 6 layers of 100% cotton. We did that during this live stream. Earlier, we did this genuine elk hide. We did this 2 layers of 100% cotton with a stiffener. Should probably have had that on the bottom because it's bigger, but whatever. we, we did the 1812 overture, and we sewed this protected full grain leather. Beautiful job. Just did the 4 layers of commercial upholstery material. We did this saddle grade material right now during this sew off after the machine was repaired. We did, what is this? We did this veg tan leather, 2 layers of that. This curly Q stuff, which is a naga hide, and we did 2 layers of that. The machine handled it just fine. Look at that stuff. It won't, come on, cooperate. We're on camera, for goodness sakes. But it gives you an idea of the concentration of vinyl in this stuff to curl like that. I mean, it's just a nightmare material to sew, isn't it? This naga hide stuff. All right, you go on the bottom since you're not being nice. All the other guys are going to sit on you and flatten you out. There we go. And we did this long strip of vinyl paper material. Again, if you want to try this on your sewing machine, it's kind of fun to sew, and you could make some pretty cool things with it. And it's available at the Dollar Tree or the $1.25 tree now, right? Then we did some of this cotton with no stiffener just to show that the machine could manage the feed and could lay down some great stitching, and it did. Then we did this bubblegum material. This is always fun to sew. This also, like that naga hide stuff, has a real high concentration of vinyl. So if a machine can sew this successfully, which this one did, then you know you've got a winning machine. And then we re-sewed 4 layers of heavy grade denim after I broke the machine trying to do 6. Yeah. And then this, this paper stuff again, paper vinyl stuff. So I'm going to kind of fold that in half. So this is the end now, finally, of the Sewing Olympics for Kathi Pecor's 170th anniversary Class 15 that has now had 2 live streams today because I broke it on the first one. So yeah, I think we can graduate it from the workshop. I'll reach out to Kathi tomorrow, let her know, because she doesn't know at this point that I was able to fix the machine after it was broken with all that heavy denim that we tried to do. So I'll let her know the machine is good to go. It can head back with her. She lives down around Madison. And if you don't know, Wisconsin, from Oconto to Madison is probably about 200 miles, close to 200 miles. So she's going to make that track back on Sunday, and she will be able to take this 170th anniversary machine with her. And, you know, it's kind of good I broke it in the workshop so I could repair it, because now she knows, okay, I'm going to step down my expectations a little bit so I don't break it like Scott did, because then I'm going to have to drive 200 miles back, 400 miles round trip so he can fix it again. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Yeah, let's not. So there's the Sewing Olympics modified for a replica Class 15 made to celebrate Singer's 170th anniversary. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a great machine. It really is. And again, if you were to try to make a machine, let me kind of set that there. If you were going to try to make a machine like this today, to the original quality standards that Singer would have made the first Class 15-1 back in the late 1950s, early 1960s. Oh, let me re-say that. It's been a long day. If we were to try to make it to the quality standards of that original 15-1 that came out in the late 1850s, early 1860s, there we go. I finally got it right. You'd be looking at a machine to make it. It'd be about an $800 or $900 machine. And then if you wanted to make a profit, you'd probably have to charge about $1,000 to $1,200 for this machine if you made it to exactly the same quality standards that it was made back in the 1800s. Yeah. So you know what? They did a decent job. They really did. They did a decent job, and they made a machine that we've run through a modified Sewing Olympics, as you can see here. And we sewed genuine elk hide. We sewed saddle grade leather. We sewed protected full grain leather. We sewed bubblegum material. We sewed commercial upholstery material. We sewed denim, not 6 layers, 4. And we sewed a variety of other things as well. The machine is alive again. Yes. Ha ha. So yeah, good stuff. But again, for folks that are maybe they missed the first live stream, just be aware that the manual that comes with this machine is wrong. The manual is wrong. Where is it? Here it is. Let me try to pull it out of here. The manual for this machine is wrong. In the manual for this class 15 replica, it says to put the flat side of the needle to the left. What they should have said in the manual is that the flat side needs to go to the right. Also in the manual, it has when you have the bobbin case in your left hand and the bobbin in your right hand, it says to put the thread so it's coming underneath, which means it would be turning counterclockwise. That also is wrong in this manual that came with this 170th anniversary machine. It should say that the thread should come over the top, which means when that thread is dispensing from the bobbin case, it's turning clockwise. So just make note of that. If you bought one of these and you've been battling this thing and you're skipping stitches and it's bird nesting on the bottom and it's doing all kinds of nutty stuff, ignore the manual because the manual's wrong. All right. So thanks for all of you that rejoined this saga of Scott breaking Kathi Pecor's machine, her grand prize winning machine for writing Grandmother's Legacy. And she read that earlier. So that was great about Calico, California. The machine is not dead. It's alive again. And we just proved that. So take heart. Any machine can be resurrected if it's in the workshop. Any machine. All right. With that, blah, blah, blahing. There we go. Class is dismissed. Y'all can chat a little bit more and take another final look of Kathy's amazing replica machine. I'll see if I can turn it a little bit so you can see it. More from the front. And yes, if you missed the earlier live stream as well, you're looking at this and you're going, wait a second. When they put out this replica, did they give you an oak base to go with it? Really? No. That's something I threw in because it's not really practical to have a hand crank machine that isn't anchored either in a table or anchored in a base. So this is an oak base that would have gone originally with a class 15 machine back in the day. And now it's going to be going with this replica machine. So like I said in the earlier live stream, if Kathi is asked, is this a vintage machine? She could say legitimately, it is, because it's got a vintage base. All right, enough. Oh, it's so great to have victory. It's so great to have victory after challenges. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we'll set that kind of over by the Singer repairman. There we go. All right, well, let's wrap it up. How long did this one? Good Lord, this one went almost an hour. All right. Well, if anybody knows Kathy's number, I've got it. But if anybody knows her number, you can call her right now and say, Scott fixed your machine. You can pick it up. Yeah, somebody make that call. Otherwise, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Okay, take care, everybody. And thank you to my faithful friends, Paula and Emma, who, you know what, if Scott did 3 live streams a day, unless they are sick in the hospital, you know what, not even in the hospital. Emma was in the hospital and she's still watching live streams. I love you ladies. You guys are amazing. You are absolutely amazing. All of you are amazing, but the ones that, yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm at a rambling point now at this point of the day. So take care, everybody, and God bless.